For many people, crashing share prices are more scary than the bogeyman himself. But for us, despite losing tens of thousands of pounds in the mother of all depressions, we're not too fussed about share prices.
Unless you're totally dependent on your dividends to live, then there is really no need to be worried. Over the course of our relatively young lives, we have built up decent-sized investment pots. But we suspect that our current pots will pale into insignificance when compared to what we will build up over our lifetimes.
And we see no reason why this won't apply to your investment pots either, as long as you take your financial future seriously. We are always perplexed by people who desperately try and protect what little they have. As Jack Dawson says, yes, this is a Titanic quote, when you got nothing, you got nothing to lose.
Of course, we're saying this not to mock those with small amounts, but to drill into you the importance of trying to build wealth before you try and conserve it. If you do totally rely on dividends or other investment income, then you are in big trouble right now, because falling share prices are just the precursor to what's about to happen. Companies have just started and will continue to slash dividends left, right and centre.
Recessions are always tough times for companies. But we don't recall any other time in modern history outside of wartime when businesses were forced to shut and people's ability to spend money by virtue of being locked in is practically made impossible.
In this video, we're going to tell you why your dividends and other investment incomes aren't safe, why bonds are useless for income, but why this might be the best buying opportunity of our lifetimes for dividend investors, and the importance of having multiple streams of passive income. Let's check it out.
Welcome to Unshackled.com, the investment channel and website that sets you and your finances free.
That was Andy and I'm Ben. And if you like what we have to say, hit the like button, click subscribe, and let us know what you think of the new format while we self-isolate. In this day and age, when you choose to invest, you should always look to take advantage of the free money that companies are literally throwing at you to win your custom.
At Unshackled.com, we have hundreds of pounds of welcome bonuses that you can snap up when you sign up to a number of very popular investment and peer-to-peer platforms. You'll find these awesome bonuses on the Unshackled.com offers page. We'll put the link to this offers page in the description below, so be sure to check that out. Now let's get into the video.
No dividend is safe. Most companies hate to cut dividends. The dividend signals to investors that a company is safe to invest in and helps to prop up the share price. Many companies will move heaven and earth before they take an axe to that precious payment. In fact, the dividend is one way to value a company's stock price, even if that method is a bit flawed.
Some companies develop great reputations for their dividend history, such as Shell, who hasn't cut its dividend since World War II. Some companies even ruin their future profits by trying to maintain their dividend by slashing their investment expenditure or cutting labour. Sometimes the market likes this, and sometimes it doesn't.
Most companies' profits are about to fall off a cliff and will have no choice but to cut the dividends. ITV, William Hill, Wetherspoons and M&S have already announced they've scrapped theirs, amongst others. Shell have so far maintained their dividend, but they have slashed spending and have suspended their share buyback programme.
This is just the start, and we don't think any dividend is safe. Companies that can afford to pay it will potentially cut it anyway to conserve cash. It's okay for a business to lose money in the short term, but it's cash in the bank that keeps the lights on.
Whether we're right or wrong here doesn't really matter that much to us. We would much prefer that businesses survive than pay out a dividend this year, because for years we have been building multiple sources of income, which will keep a roof over our heads and food on the table. We'll get to how you can do this very soon.
One positive, depending on how you look at it, is that many companies around the world pay their dividends in US dollars, which is fantastic when their dividends are converted into sterling. Unfortunately, the weak pound means it's not good if you're UK based and buying dollar priced investments.
Despite the US being in more debt than every other country on the planet, the US dollar is seen as a relatively safe haven. And so the pound has been falling against the dollar like a lead balloon. If any dividends do survive, they should at least be worth more to you when all this is over.
On the subject of dividends, it's probably worth pointing out now that metrics such as dividend cover are pretty much pointless in times like this. Normally, dividend cover is a good starting point to determine whether a company's dividend is safe, and is easily calculated by taking net profits and dividing it by dividends paid.
So, if a company made £200 million last year and paid out £100 million, the dividend cover ratio is 2.0. However, as it is based on the previous year's profits, which in most cases will be significantly higher than when we're struggling through a catastrophe, the dividend cover is pretty much meaningless. You can of course use forecast profits instead, but because of the coronavirus, nobody really knows what these will be, not even the companies themselves.
Bonds are useless. Regular watchers of this channel will know that we're not particularly keen on bonds for investors that are similar in age to us, which is why neither of us invest in them. With interest rates so low for over a decade, bonds have been, in our opinion, pointless to hold.
While it is true that when stocks crash, bonds often act as a hedge as they tend to move in the opposite direction. But the yield is too pathetic, with many government bonds currently paying less than 1%. Remember, if you take no risk, you get no reward. Bond prices have indeed increased slightly recently, which will soften the falls from your stock investments. But we don't think this is compensation enough for years of awful returns.
Although we don't think it'll happen anytime soon, when interest rates start to rise again, bond prices will inevitably begin to fall, which will reverse the gains that you've just made. Perhaps those of you holding bonds can take the benefit now and rebalance, moving some of it into cheap stocks.
We do see the value of holding interest-bearing investments in our portfolios, which is one reason why we love peer-to-peer lending. In theory, these will continue to pay decent interest payments throughout the imminent recession, but in practice we would expect reduced returns as more businesses default on their debt.
Many good peer-to-peer lenders will have been constantly stress testing their loans to ensure they will be able to handle a downturn, and many even have provision funds that in theory will be able to smooth out investment returns during a recession. We're not worried about peer-to-peer at all because we're diversified across multiple platforms.
We would much prefer to hold cash than bonds because at least the capital value doesn't fluctuate due to market demand and interest rate movements. We always think it's worthwhile sitting on a bunch of cash so you can take advantage of depressed share prices when they appear.
Best buying opportunity. When we invest, we go by Warren Buffett's philosophy of having the intention of holding on to those investments forever. So when prices are low, as they are now, we just see it as an amazing opportunity to buy more shares.
We know a small minority will criticise this by saying that stock prices are still overpriced because earnings are about to fall off a cliff, but we don't really care about this year's earnings. All we care about is that earnings will increase again, and in the future we will look back and think, whoa, what a wonderful time it was to buy stocks and shares.
The next point is amazing, and because our money now buys more shares than previously, we are now getting more future income because we own a higher volume of shares. Companies pay out their dividends by share, so the more shares you own, the higher the likely income that you will receive.
Multiple streams of passive income. We bang on a lot about multiple streams of passive income on this channel. And although most people currently don't have multiple streams, the current crisis serves as a reminder that you really should start building them right now. Next time a disaster comes along, you'll be more prepared.
We think what has become evident recently is the importance of being able to create an income from anywhere, and the internet is the place to start. We've done numerous videos on side hustles, and we urge you to check these out for inspiration and ideas. I've been contemplating learning to program because it's a skill that can be done from home, but your product can reach anyone at any time, anywhere in the world. Now that's a skill that has scale.
Build a few apps, write a few books, create a few movies, record a few songs, and take some photos or video B-rolls, and before you know it, you'll have multiple streams of income in no time.
Question of the day. Will you be hit hard by the dividend cuts? And what have you done to reduce the pain? Let us know in the comment section. Thanks for watching! On this channel we talk a lot about personal finance, investing, and all things money. And if you want to see more great content, please click the subscribe button below.
This is moneyunshackled.com. See you next time.